Well, hey everyone, it's Rob GillT Property. Hope you're all going well. It's all good. It's all about property, it's all about Cape Town, it's all about South Africa. And today, I'm talking about your transfers due. When do you move out? How does this process work? And what happens when the transfer is due in South Africa? Let's talk about that. Let's get to it. So the moment's arrived. Your house is about to transfer into your name or out of your name. But particularly, we're going to talk about if you're purchasing the home and you're waiting to move in. So you've decided you're not moving in and paying occupational rent, and the seller's decided they're not moving out and paying occupational rent. But the transfer is due and you're not sure, it's pie in the sky. When do I have to move out? When do I have to move in? What's happening? Okay. And if you've got those questions in your mind, then your property consultant hasn't really done a good job in the first place. And secondly, you should know, or at least your conveyancer should know. So this can be quite an issue, when it comes down to it, as to pie in the sky is when do I move out and when do I move in? Right? Because when transfers are due, anything can happen. Now, this year, we understand that coronavirus was a problem, COVID-19 as they call it, and, the deeds office had a lot of issues. The deeds office had this situation where someone would get COVID and they would take a long weekend. So deeds that were transferring once they were lodged in 7 to 10 days started taking 90 days, and so on and so on and so on. Now, this became quite an issue in the industry. That has now narrowed down and sort of come down to normality again, I believe, even though once again I believe the deeds office has now closed in Cape Town for a couple of days. Another story. Okay, but generally they've caught up and things are coming back to normal. So that said, if things are normal, how does this process work? Well, effectively, quite simple, is once it's lodged, because everything's in place, right? So for it to lodge, everything's got to be in place. All the COCs have got to be done, all the monies have got to be paid, everything's got to be in place, right? Rates have got to be done, the whole 9 yards. Then it can go in and it gets lodged, right? From there, it can take 7 to 10 days usually when things are normal, right? And then it goes up for prep, and then a day or so later, it registers. So you can count on that sort of timing. But the thing is, when you're moving home, you cannot say in 10 days, I'm going to move in 10 days. 9 times out of 10, you've got to plan this well in advance. Even if you're going to rent, you need to plan it pretty well in advance. So I always advocate to the agents, to the property consultants, guys, put dates in, okay? So in other words, an occupation date, whether there's occupational rent or not, put an amount for an occupational rent so there's no discrepancy at the end of the day. Because if I'm a seller and there's no amount there and you say you want to stay in my house, I'm going to make the amount as high as I possibly can because I want some money. So I got to go somewhere else. Okay, so think about that. Make sure you got an amount in, make sure you got a date in. But further than that, a proposed registration date, an approximate date of registration. It doesn't have to be that it's not going to destroy the contract if things are not registered on that day, okay? And it's easy to put addendums in place if it's late, right? So if it's late, we say, well, as a result of this and that and that and that and that, we're extending the move-in date from that date to that date and make it 30 days later or 15 days later, whatever the case. But having a date there gives everyone something to work towards, okay? You, as the buyer, can work towards arranging your life around giving notice where you are and moving into your new home. You, as the seller, can work your life around I'm moving out on that date and moving into something else. And you guys must also give yourself a little bit of leeway in case you have to move those dates. And then, of course, it gives the conveyancers and the people doing the job something to work towards as well. We need to get this done by that date, right? Otherwise, we're going to have to put addendums in place, and it's more work and all the rest of it. So then everybody has this date to work towards, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier at the end of the day. So if you're sitting there asking, when am I moving out? When am I getting my transfer? Or you get that shock phone call from the agent saying you got to move out next week. That's not cool. Okay, this should have been arranged long before. And if you do have the date, you can be calling the conveyancer and saying, hey, listen, I know I'm supposed to move in on that date, but my registration's delayed, or this is happening, that's happening, what now? Oh, okay, so we're going to do this. Okay, we're either going to pay occupational rent, or we're going to move the date out, or something to that effect. So, you know, guys, it's so easy when you have a target or something to work towards, to work around that in your contract. So be careful of that. Don't leave yourself high and pie in the sky when it comes to your deed and it comes to the transfer in South Africa. You know, you've got to really think about these things in advance, and your property consultant should be thinking about that for you. Any contract that I see that doesn't have dates in it just drives me nuts, okay? Because the dates are there to cover everyone at the end of the day, not just one party or the other party. It's there for all of you. You know, an occupation date is really important, but it can be changed. It's not set in stone. It doesn't say, oh, well, you have to move in and pay occupational rent. You can say, well, we're not making that date. Can we move it out? All right. And registration date, on or as close to. You know, on or as close to that date. So we just have a date that we're working towards. So we don't even have to do addendums if it's on or as close to. It could be 6 months out. It's as close to that date as we could make it. So with that said, I hope that gives you some insight into that feeling. It's just me, my feeling about the transfers due, and then people are left like wondering when this is going to happen, especially in a year like this when things were delayed and things were left high, you know, high and dry. So hope that helps. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys are going to like, comment, and subscribe, especially subscribe to the YouTube channel. So follow me on Instagram and like the Facebook page as well, because we do have a following there as well. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I hope you get your transfer through. Cheers.